Here we go again, a bunch of Kiwi lads talking State of Origin for the final time in 2020. I'd love to be telling you New South Wales 20, Queensland 14, and New South Wales winning their third series in a row. I'm wearing blue for obvious reasons, but sadly I'm not. I'm joined by Adam Blair, Queensland supporter, Glen Larmer, the voice of rugby league in this country. Guys, did you see this coming? I certainly didn't. A Queensland series win with basically nobody at their disposal.
Yeah, I thought it was just great coaching from Wayne Bennett. I thought he would have been planning for the third game up in Queensland, and obviously coming off a pretty tough loss, game 2, would have been pumping those boys up for game 3. And you know, we got home in the end, and it was a late night, and you know, I could have gone to bed, but I wanted to stay up and support the boys. And thank God, I may look a little bit tired, but you know, I'm here today, and you know, Maroons all day.
Hey, it was a good point you made about coaching. I didn't see it coming, but I did after the first game, because Queensland won that first game. And then I thought, okay, this is a different series this year because it's week after week. Usually it's, what, 3 weeks between a game in a normal season, isn't it? And I just wondered whether Wayne Bennett, well, after New South Wales lost that first game, I wonder, hey, Brad Fittler's got some coaching to do here. And he's not really that experienced as a coach. Wayne Bennett, of course, is hugely experienced, and it's a week-by-week scenario, and I'm thinking, actually, I can see Queensland winning the series now, and even though they were undermanned and, you know, they didn't have the strength on paper like New South Wales had, I was pleasantly happy when I saw Queensland, the underdog team, come through and win. It was great.
I reckon you did right, Glenn. Keen to get your thoughts on this, Adam, as well. By winning that first game, and knowing that they had the decider in Brisbane, they probably thought they were, you know, odds on to win at that stage after Adelaide.
Yeah, without a doubt, I would have thought, you know, they would have gone into the game. You know, game 1's obviously the most important game. If you can get up in that game, it puts a lot of pressure on the opposition to try and win game 2, and then knowing that they get to go home back to Queensland for the decider. The whole campaign would have been pumping up themselves for the big game, and Wayne's really good at what he does. I think when we speak about Wayne in that last game, I think it feels like when, for me watching it, was like when I played the World Cup for New Zealand in 08. You know, backs against the wall. We lost our first game against Australia and got smashed. But that week that we had going into the final of it, the belief that he instilled in us, we just knew that we were going to win the game. You know, a lot of boys had these haircuts that looked like Last of the Mohegans, and I thought, geez, you know, these fellas are ready. They're ready to go out there and just smash whoever comes in front of them. And from the first kickoff, you know, one of the boys just run as hard as he can, eyes closed, and just run straight over the top of someone. And I'm just like, here we go. You know, so Wayne's done that this week. He's must have done it through the whole 3 weeks and just got them ready and prepared them ready for this big game. And I thought, you know, he done an outstanding job with the group of boys he had.
So it's all about the haircut. Because I remember Clinton Torpy rocking an absolute disgrace of a style, and everybody panned him, and he played like arse for the Warriors that season. Do you remember that, Glenn?
Yeah, I do. Yeah. But look, who cares about? I mean, the only game that mattered in 08 was that win, right? I mean, you know, those scenes at the end were awesome, you know, and you know, hopefully they can come again. But Wayne Bennett, it was great to see. Speaking of scenes at the end, you know, when Daly Cherry Evans said what he said at the end of the game about the worst Queensland team, I mean, you could not help but smile with him just giving it back to
I didn't smile.
Well, I know you didn't.
I had a frown on
who
my
was
face.
smiling,
I was crying, mate.
I know who was
Keith
smiling.
Quinn would have been pissed off with me because I'm bawling my eyes.
Yeah, but Wayne Bennett was in there at the end. He was just hovering out the back, but you could tell he was absolutely loving those last scenes, you know, when they were holding the shield there and celebrating. You know?
And Wayne's one of those guys that deep down inside he cares, and he'd be smiling and fist pumping. Behind closed doors, he would have been jumping around and giving high fives to all the boys. You've seen how happy he was straight after the game. A lot of those young boys, especially the ones that didn't play, were going up to him, giving big hugs. And Wayne is the first person to come up to you when you've won a big game or lost a big game, and giving you the credit for your time with the team. And you know, when you got young kids like the winger, what's his name again?
Edric Lee, Valentine.
Like those boys, the boys that didn't play, they just ran up to him and gave him a big cuddle, and it shows you how much
Yeah.
he's done to them throughout the campaign and what it means to them as kids to be involved in those kind of moments in games.
That's Xavier Coates you're talking about, isn't it?
That's it, Xavier Coates.
Mate, he's going to be a superstar.
Yeah.
Greg Inglis, version 2, almost.
Yeah. Glenn, you're supposed to come in a bit earlier when I said what was that guy's name.
Yeah. I'm a bit slow. I was up late last night.
Yeah, me too.
Sorry, man.
I'm tired, so that's why maybe the brain...
Guys, you've had a day to recover. What are you on about? Listen, I mean, Wayne Bennett and his success, he's come in from the State of Origin wilderness to orchestrate this success. Just goes to show how much he does care and what he has to offer still after all this time.
Oh, yeah, I'd keep him. I mean, he's just so experienced. He just gets how to coach a team in any situation. I mean, he's done it all in rugby league. Why would Queensland Rugby League not want to keep him in the job? So an absolute knockout decision by them to replace Kevin Walters with Wayne Bennett, in the year that we've had.
The staff they had on board, Mal Meninga was in there.
Yeah.
I know Alfie's always around and he's one of the best blokes in the game, you know what I mean? And when times are tough, Alfie's always there and got your back. And you imagine a kid running around on the field and then Alfie's in the back telling you to run harder, you know what I mean? And you're just going to get another gear and just go harder again. So, the staff that they gathered in a short amount of time was perfect. And Wayne's one of those guys that can galvanise a group and galvanise the coaching staff into doing something special like they did.
So Wayne Bennett obviously winning the coaching battle over Brad Fittler. Yeah. Let's talk about some of the players on show, because as a New South Wales fan, I still had to stand up and admire everything that Cameron Munster did last night and how much he must have been missed in Game 2. The way he plays, it's like nothing I've ever really seen before. I feel like players in his position, they usually are very polished. It's almost like they've gone to the NRL finishing school and they know exactly what they're going to do at a precise moment in time. Cameron Munster is off the cuff and he is unreal. What did you think of his efforts, Adam?
Yeah, he's, to me, he looks like the energy man in the Queensland team. When he does what he does, the team just jumps on the back of it. So, again, like you said, he doesn't look polished as a player, but does things that not many players can do. But plays a great brand of footy where, he just plays eyes up. If he sees somewhere to go, he'll kick a ball, he'll throw a long ball, he'll step around. It doesn't look like he puts people in bad positions. And then sometimes there's halves, halves do sometimes. It's just plays short, but if it's not on there, he stops, he'll skip around to the other side of the field, and then he'll see the winger up, he'll put a kick in. Like, who does that?
Cameron Munster does.
Yes.
And that's it.
I love Munster. I think he's damn near just about the best player in rugby league, I reckon. Because he gives you that illusion, which he's kind of off the cuff and a bit skittery, but he's not. He's far from that. He manages the game better just about than any other number 6 in the competition. I mean, Luke Keary, Nathan Cleary, even the other halves. If you're actually looking at if you want to find a player that steps up in big games, and he did this in the grand final as well. Let's not forget he's had a dodgy knee all year.
And he got knocked out the week before. And he still turns up. He's got some ticker and he's tough. You can't speak highly enough of Cameron Munster. And the try that he set up for Edric Lee, the grubber kick through, regather, and then he didn't even have the ball in his hands. It's almost like he just threw the ball onto his foot to kick it into the centre field, and then another kick for Edric. It's just unreal play.
It was the same as, it was just the moment before there where he sneaks down the outside, puts a kick in, looks like it's not even supposed to be that kind of a kick, gets it, grabs it again, kicks again. The winger Tupou comes around to try and get it. They get him, and then he gets the ball again and does that rubbish kick again. But it wasn't meant to be like that. A polished half nails those kicks every single time and hits the man on the chest or nice and high for a nice winger's catch. But it hit the ground, bounced around, but those are the things Cameron Munster does, and that's what you applaud when you see a player like Cameron, is that he can do stuff like that. As long as you're on the same page or nearabouts or being around it in those moments, you'll get those opportunities, and that's what he did.
Yeah. I mean, did you play with him? I mean, was he coming in the scene with you?
No, I didn't play with him. He was gone. Would have been pretty interesting. I made a career outside Cooper Cronk for my early part of my
not too bad.
Early part of my career.
I'll take that.
So swapped around there and then.
But you would have played against him a bunch of times. How hard is he to contain?
Yeah, he is pretty hard to contain. Obviously, with a lot of his skipping around, it's more about just coming up in a straight line with him because he has the right hand fin, which is he's quite strong at it. So palms and then steps back inside a lot. So as your half and as your back rower, if your half gets up, he's always going to come back into your back rower. So making sure that your line's nice and straight on him. That's the hardest thing with Cameron Munster. If you're not connected as a line defensively, he finds a way to bounce. But if you can stop that, you know, you can minimise his opportunities.
Yeah. Obviously, he goes to work on the back of a Queensland forward pack that was utterly dominant last night. They had the better of possession by a mile, territory and all of that. What was the turnaround all about? Because obviously game 2, they were thoroughly outplayed, the Queensland forward pack.
Oh, it's emotion, isn't it? I mean, I just think back home with 50,000 people. I mean, that was great, wasn't it? You know, at the start of the game to see a full house at a game of rugby league in Australia this year was just, and it's the last game of the year. I mean, it was just perfect. I just thought that, coupled with the emotion, plus you sometimes, and I'm sure Adam's struck this many times, you learn a lot from losses sometimes, don't you? A lot more maybe than you do when you win. And I mean, I remember Nathan Kalis telling me this. You know, one day we got smashed playing for the Eels by 50 points, but we go on and win the next week. And his message was, do not underestimate a team that's been spanked in its previous game, particularly when you're talking about elite players like this. So I think there was every chance after they got pumped in game 2 that they'd come back and win, or at least be way more competitive in game 3.
Yeah, I just, you know, the whole time that I was watching the game on TV, you could hear the crowd. You could hear the Queensland call. Imagine if you're on a field, you know what I mean, and you're in the biggest game of your career and or of your life, and you can hear the fans shouting out Queensland, you know, I'm lifting another gear, I'm trying to find ways to try and, you know, make an impact. And I just thought, you know, off the back of game 2, Queensland obviously went home and did their homework. A lot of the times in the second game, Addo Carr and his centre really defend really tight from the 20-metre lines on both sides. So you've seen early in the game Queensland shifting it early, trying to upset their defensive structures, so that when they did get wide, they just got down, quick play the ball. So then it opens up the defensive line for their back 4, back 5, just to run hard and with intent and get down and play the ball. And that's what it looked like. They went back to the drawing board, found ways to try and upset the defensive line by moving them a little bit and then coming back through the middle where they had to try and close up the gap really quick. Some quick play the balls. On the back of that, Harry Grant comes out, runs. He was outstanding for his debut. Holy hell.
Man, how impressive was he? I mean, just when you think that New South Wales are going to cop a break, Cameron Smith's had that 9 jersey sewn up for years and years and years. Jake Friend finally gets an opportunity, but here comes Harry Grant, scores a try. He was an absolute menace from the time he took the field.
He was, I don't know, he must be born with like something that he just knows when to go. And I mean, I don't know if that can be coached at him, but he just seems to know when to go. And when he goes, he's making either yards or scoring that try.
Well, a couple of his breaks, you know, he's a strong,
strong boy.
Just a little bit bigger than Jake Friend, I think. So kind of similar body shape. So when they both got on the field, you know, when you're defending players, you know, you've got all these different body shapes, which is your ideal team because you've got to change your tackle technique every time. So having all 120 kilo blokes becomes easier to defend. No, they still got to run hard, but you still got to defend them. But when you've got guys like Harry Grant, you've got Tino, who's huge, then you've got Jake Friend, who are similar size. They come on together, but you know he's strong. He's got a good fend. We've seen when he come out to the right-hand side of the ruck, he just palms Tyson Frizzell and makes that little break. If you know, again, the belief about him just chucking in a kick and then someone being down on the chase. That's what they did. They just believed in themselves.
And New South Wales, they may have only come to life for the last 15 minutes of the game, but they nearly stole it. I want to talk about 3 flashpoints, right? So first of all, the Addo Carr try, no try, penalty try. What did you guys think of that? Was he going to make it? Was he going to be in a position to score?
My first instinct when he got taken out by Allen, no, that wasn't a penalty try. It was a penalty, and I think the officials got that one spot on. He was just too far out, and the ball was too far ahead.
He's got gas.
I know
he's got gas.
I know he's got gas. I know all that, but I actually think they got that one right.
I think that was Addo Carr's point too. He said, you know, I would have got there, but again, what the replay shows, the ball bouncing a nice kind bounce, but it could have bounced anywhere. You can't call on where the ball's going to go. It could have gone right, it could have gone left.
And then all of a sudden he's changing.
And then, you know, changing angles. I know it was a fair way out. I thought originally, yes, you know, professional foul. But I didn't, you know, I don't think he he gets there. Yes, he's the most probably the quickest in rugby
Sorry,
league.
Goran.
Clocks 37 Ks and just easy. And I just thought, I didn't think he was going to get there.
Yeah. Corey Allen Sinbin, that was spot on?
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
so the second flashpoint, I don't know if you guys saw this, you probably did. Kafusi laying all over the tackle player, just out from the sticks. That could have been a second Sinbinning, couldn't it?
Could be.
Yeah.
Easily. They gave 6 again set restart, but all of a sudden Queensland should have been playing the dying moments with 11 men.
Yeah, well, he did something similar to
I'm grasping at straws, aren't I?
Yeah, he did something similar to that in the first game and got Sinbin for the exact same thing, trying to slow down the time. And if they go back to the first game, that's a Sinbin any day of the week. Should be off having a rest. But again, it's the pressure though. The pressure pressure for players, pressure for the refs to make those decisions on the spot, which is you're in a tough gig.
I mean, actually, I'll ask you this question, Adam. You've been there many times, hard on your line, defending a lead, and then that situation materialises. If you're Kafusi, you do that every time, don't you?
Without a doubt.
Yeah.
Without a doubt.
You're probably asking the most niggly man in the league.
I know that. I know that.
Yeah, of course he does it.
But what I'm saying is,
now.
it's worth taking the risk from your point of view, aren't you? Because it's a 50-50 call, right?
Yeah, and I think there was another moment before then as well. Harry Grant might have done something similar. Again, you know that's pressure. It does that to you, and if someone pokes their nose through, you can feel that they're going to get a quick play of the ball. You try and do the slightest thing to not give a penalty away or not get Sinbin, but to try and slow the momentum down because you know that you're under a bit of pressure. And there was moments there where he could have gone to the bin and put a lot more pressure on. But again, like you said, Glenn, I would do exactly the same thing in the same situation. When there's, what was it, a minute to go? You just back that the boys are confident to defend if you do lose a man without you, and you just put the trust in them.
And then the final moment that I want to talk about, the Junior Paulo offload, and then I think it was Jake Friend who may have knocked on. Time, it runs out and he launches the ball over the back fence. And then New South Wales challenge, and the challenge is successful, but
It's game over.
It's game over.
That's it.
That's a weird one. I thought if the game's over, you can't challenge because you've got no time to do anything. I thought obviously trying to make something happen with minimal time to play on the clock. And again, people should be aware of the players around who you have in the team that in those instances, guys like him are going to try and push the pass. So I think someone was behind him. One of the New South Wales players was behind him and was looking the other way, setting up the next play. But sometimes in those moments, with guys like that, you need to just play the play. And then there could have been an opportunity for the New South Wales to get the ball there and put pressure on them.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it was a bit strange, wasn't it? Really, in hindsight, one more play, that would have.
Who knows what happened?
Who knows, mate?
It's nerve-wracking time when you're on the field too. And for me, and when I've been in those situations, I literally just run like a headless chook from one side to the other, just chasing the ball because, you just never know. But
forget the game plan. Just rip up the script out and
There's no game plan when you're one man down and there's seconds to go and they're passing the ball from sideline to sideline. Literally, there's guys like myself that just chase everything and just hopefully you end up getting the ball, you make a tackle. Sometimes if you realise, just come back the other way where I've just left a massive hole, you know what I mean? But you just hope in those situations that everyone's on the same page and you think, well, if you've got 10 seconds to go and the ball's going to side, everyone just go crazy and try and stop the play.
Yeah. Boys, let's talk about James Tedesco. He was out of the game after 20 minutes, pretty serious looking head knock. How big of an impact did that make on the outcome of the game last night?
Yes, obviously. Well, it's hard to know. It's hard to know.
Well, it was Tedesco leaving and also the rejig that took place after it.
But I made that point earlier when Coates was out of the game 2 days out. Queensland made their adjustments. Okay, you could say they had 2 days to make adjustments and, change some roles between some players, and they did that beautifully. I was surprised that New South Wales didn't adjust to him leaving the field a bit better. Because they've got talent everywhere. I mean, Gutherson's had a fantastic year. Back to fullback he goes. Maybe they erred with their selection on the bench, possibly, because that's always that kind of risk you weigh up with when how do you load your bench? Do you have a player there that can cover centre? Do you have a player that can cover halves, fullback? Yes, they did, but it creates a problem somewhere else when you move Gutherson back, who's a makeshift centre anyway. So maybe that's where they erred a little bit. Yo came on, right? But he's had a fantastic season for Penrith down the middle of the field. Probably doesn't have the athleticism and maybe the offloading game to be a really good back rower at that level. So maybe they erred there. To go back, I was surprised they didn't adjust a little better, but maybe it goes back to the bench. What do you think?
Yeah, I was saying that a little bit earlier about, if I was the coach, for instance,
you might be in the
my bench would be, my rotation would be obviously 3 bigs and a utility that covers literally every position on the field besides your middles. As in front rowers, back row. But then that's when Pappenhausen comes in. That's the options there. You know what I mean? But again, it's mostly when you've got a star-studded team. How do you fit everyone into their roles, you know what I mean? And that's maybe been their letdown throughout the series. I thought if you've got 4 middles on the bench, your starters are pretty durable. They're pretty mobile forwards and get some big minutes out of them. Payne Haas is a machine, can play 80 minutes. So that may have been their letdown. But again, you know, maybe Tedesco changed the games, maybe he doesn't, but his movement around the middle of the ruck, and we see it in game 2, the pressure that he puts on defenders with what he does and plays at speed does help New South Wales a lot. But again, Gutherson comes in, he's had a great season off the back of the Eels at fullback, and you've seen how busy he was once he got into his comfortable position, just pushing around the ball, and that's what you want as a fullback. And we spoke about this in game 2, is, you know, your good fullbacks are just sitting on the ball on the inside, just waiting for those moments and those opportunities.
One of the best things about last night for me personally, because obviously New South Wales didn't get the win, you got to look at some sort of positives that come out of the game. Streakers are back. We saw them fully on TV. I don't know why they don't show them. Maybe it's because young people might be watching, but having that big of a crowd, everybody's excited. Had a few too many giggle juices, and then all of a sudden we see people taking to the field again. It's like the good old days, before COVID was even a thing.
All we needed was a big punch-up, you know, and there was that, you know, one in the second game, and now there was one in this one. I mean, do you miss the days of being able to throw a punch at them?
Oh, not this again.
I mean, I don't think we've got enough time.
Okay. Sorry about that, Ken.
But you're right. You know, everything was there last night except for the stink. But I guess, again, everyone was excited about being in Queensland, you know, a full stadium, and then you got a couple of streakers running out there just enjoying themselves.
Brilliant.
Nice warm night.
Yeah, very warm. Hey, listen, and just like that, the 2020 league season is over after an incredible year. What's on your wish list for 2021? What do you want to see next year?
Well, when you say it's over, it feels like it's over for me as well, which it is. I'm done. Done, retired, and there's no more footy on TV to watch. So that's mostly a sad time for myself. You know, I can't talk about footy anymore. This is our last chance talking about football for the year. But I'm just excited. You know, the big thing for me would be to be able to bring a game back to New Zealand and get the Warriors to play at home in Mount Smart. It'd be a relief for the fans, the club, the players, the families, myself, just to see a full house back in Mount Smart. Imagine, you know, they're running out. We're running out. Bloody hell!
You're gonna have to get used to that, Adam.
They're running out into Mount Smart, and it's similar to not similar as in stadiums or atmosphere, but running out to a full packed house. Can't see any grass, everyone's just screaming Warriors and just loving rugby league back in New Zealand. That would be the most exciting thing for me in 21.
Well, that day's coming. That day's coming. We're one day closer every day. I have 2 things every year, and nothing's changed for me this year. Number 1, the Warriors will win the NRL. That's what I'm hoping for. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. It's the same every year. And 2, the Kiwis, when they play, and sadly we didn't get the Kiwis playing this year, the Kiwis playing Australia and touching them up every year.
Yeah, that would be nice, wouldn't it? Just to be home would be perfect. No matter who it is, you know, the fans will come out in their numbers and support the Warriors and support the game of rugby league.
Yeah, cool. Well, until next year, Guys, thanks so much for your time. Adam Blair,
Awesome.
always a pleasure.
Thank you.
Glen Larmer, a more than adequate replacement for
thank
Why
you,
Don't You
Goran.
Talk.
Thank you.
I think you've got a future in this game.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
You know,
I appreciate
don't talk
that.
up too many people,
Merry
but
Christmas
I think you've got
to
the
you too,
goods.
mate.
Yeah, Merry
Yeah,
Christmas,
yeah,
Glenn. And Merry Christmas to everybody out there. We'll be back in 2021 in some way, shape or form, bringing you Rugby League here on Sky Sport. Until then, we'll catch you soon.